Hello, History 131. This is the last lecture for the day, and of course, it's chapter 6, The Rise of Rome. To the west of Greece, which lies the boot-shaped peninsula of Italy. It occupies the center of the Mediterranean. The Italian peninsula literally divides the Mediterranean Sea into half. Italy's climate is similar to Greece. Winters are rainy, summers are hot and dry. But unlike Greece, which branch off from the Balkans mountain, the Apennine mountain is to the north of Italy, and it protected it from invaders. The Apennine breaks off from the Alps and form a natural barrier, and most of the peninsula is mountainous. In the southward course of the Apennine, there are two broad plains called Latinium and Campania, and between these two plains flows the Tiber River. This is where Rome was founded. Now, before the arrival of these Indo-European people, there were people there called the Etruscan. And between 1200 and 753 BC, these Indo-European people moved into the area and basically overcame the Etruscan. Legend has it that Rome was established in 509 BCE by twin brothers, Romulus and Remus. Supposedly, they were deserted by their mother and raised by a she-wolf. The legend has it. But these early Rome is on the hill, bordering the Tiber River in between the plains. So because of the fertile plains, the population would grow. And in 509 BC, they established what is called the Roman Republic. Now, keep in mind, the Republic means a representative democracy. We talked about Greece and the establishment of a democracy by Cleostine, but the Roman took it a step further and made it a representative democracy. The Senate was mainly made up of wealthy landowners, paterfamilias they called them, and they lived on large estates called latifunda. But they represented the class called the patricians. That's the wealthiest class. The majority of the population were plebeians. They were the working class, the artisans, the artists. But once Rome was established, they began to conquer the rest of Italy. Unlike the Greeks, who did not extend citizenship to the people they conquered, the Romans did extend citizenship. So by doing so, the Roman Republic began to grow. And of course, many of the conquered people would join the Roman legion to advance economically. We'll talk more about that as we go. But the Roman state itself had an executive branch, which was led by the two councils, the Senate, which represented the legislative branch, and the magistrate, which represented the judiciary branch. When our founding fathers got ready to establish this country, they looked to Rome as a model. And as you can see, we have three branches of government: the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judiciary branch. So we got all of that from Rome. But there was problem assembling in Rome between the two classes of people there, the plebeians and the patricians. The patricians had all of the power, they had all of the land, and had all of the money. So this led to what we call a struggle of order within the social division of the Roman Republic. This went on for many years, but finally the plebeians decided that they would not fight Rome's war. This brought the patrician to the table, which gave the plebeians a lower body to represent them, like our House of Representatives, and a tribune to be their spokesman. So you had councils and now tribunes. But the major thing they did was publish the 12 tablets of the Roman law. So if you could read Latin, you didn't need the judge to interpret the law. You knew what the law was. It allowed the plebeians and patricians to intermarry. So once the struggle of order is over, the Romans continued their conquest now of the rest of the Mediterranean. And this is where they would run into conflict with the Carthaginians. Carthage had been established by the Phoenicians in present-day Tunisia, Libya, North Africa. They were a dominant colony, but in the First Punic War, the Romans beat them decisively, forced them to pay money, reparation, for going to war against the Roman Republic. But the Carthaginians were looking for a leader, and they found one in Hannibal. Hannibal is considered to be a military genius. He led a formidable force across the Strait of Gibraltar, up Spain, across the Pyrenees Mountain, in the Alps, down into Rome, and laid siege to the city. Nothing got in, nothing got out. Rome was on its breath when one of their leaders, Scipio Africana, escaped the city, went to Spain, organized, and invaded Carthage, forcing Hannibal to lift the siege and return home to face the Romans. Scipiano defeated Hannibal and his forces in 202 BC at the Battle of Zambia. But that's not it. There's a third Punic War. This time, the Romans burned the city and laid claim to the province and called that province Africa, the land of the blacks. To my knowledge, this is the first mention in history of Africa, giving the continent its name. Once they had conquered Carthage, they now began to expand into the rest of Europe, Gaul, which is France, Germany, and even England. But there was still problems growing. Men would go off and fight the war and return back to Rome as paupers. Their land, their families. The Gladiator, the movie, is a perfect example of this. So there was growing inequality, unrest. When these farmers lost their property, they moved to the city, which created a massive population of the urban poor. And they relied upon the state to feed them with bread, but the state also entertained them with gladiatory events. The gladiators, where you went into the forum to fight man to man, sometimes against animals. But there was problems, and many Roman leaders recognized this. The first person to come to the defense of the plebeians and the poor was a man named Tiberius Gracchus. He advocated a redistribution of land and wealth in Rome. Of course, the Senate and the patrician opposed this, and Tiberius was assassinated by members of the Senate. His brother, Gaius Gracchus, assumed the leadership, and he also advocated for a redistribution of the land. He too was assassinated. So now the Roman army, the Roman legion, is really the rule of Rome, even though the Senate made decisions on war and where to fight. There was no reform effort to be made. And What happened, the soldiers' allegiance was to their general or their military leader instead of to the state of Rome. If you notice in our Constitution, we swear an oath to the Constitution, not to the president or not to the leader. So, but this would lead to the collapse of the republic because of this conflict. First, you have the first triumph form on the Marius and who else? Sullus and Pompey. It failed. Then Julius Caesar came from Gaul, and he formed a triumvirate with Gracchus and Pompey. Gracchus is known as the wealthiest man in the world. He's killed in battle in Persia. He's forced to drink, since he loved gold, he was the richest man in the world. They liquefied the gold and poured it down his throat. That's how he died. Caesar was alerted to Pompey. He chased him down and killed him in Sicily. Now, Julius Caesar is the only ruler of the Roman Republic. He expanded the Senate, gained control of the legislative process, but he paid a visit to Egypt and fell in love with Cleopatra. There he fathered a son by Cleopatra.